years. And and during that time, did a lot of different things there. My last studio wound up halfway downtown. So if you take a right off of I-10, you go down to where he grew up. If you take a left, you go kind of toward Beverly Hills and the other area and Hollywood. So from my studio, I could either see down here this way, or I could see up this way, and you could see the Hollywood sign from one of the windows there. So it was kind of a nice view for people. You can look downtown that way and the Hollywood sign that way. But the point is that his name, L.A., his real name is... His real name is L.A. That's why I didn't go there. But anyway, so he's going to explain the evolution of L.A. Snow from the beginning, because I think it's really, really interesting where you were brought up, what was going on where you were brought up, and how that formed you as a young man.
Okay. I guess if that's interesting enough. Okay, well, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Compton, you know. Most people hear that and be like, oh, Compton, you know. And, you know, for me and my family, it was the norm. I don't think people see it like that when you come outside into it. It's like just the everyday living. Not knowing anything else outside of Compton, that's all we knew. I think the first...
Those that don't know Compton, talk about the gang-related activity that goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, I think with Compton, I think because of the NWA and all that kind of stuff, I think it had a lot more attention and hype on it. I think Atlanta, and Memphis, and some of these other cities have some of the same, you know, not so, you know, well-to-do areas. But I think Cali or Compton, they just had a little more attention on it. Mm-hmm. And by us growing up down there, it was just nothing else we didn't know. I mean, I grew up in an area where, you know, I seen my mother get shot. You know, I used to go to the grocery store, get jumped on. I got these stitches in my head and, you know, rob me. But I had the type of mother who sent me back out the house. You know, no, we don't come in the house with that. So, you know, it's go handle that or you just don't come back in the house.
So he came in with a gash on his head, and instead of sympathy, she says, go back out and deal with whoever did that to you.
And so, you know, after I straightened that out, I go to the Compton clinic, get my stitches, and, you know, a few days later, sit in the house, just took them out, you know, after I thought they healed. Well, like I said, I think that was it was nothing abnormal. We actually I went to Dilley Elementary in Compton. And by the time I did 5th and 6th grade over in Long Beach, and by the time I entered high school, because Compton was so, you know, bad, if you want to say that, we took the RTD, which is equivalent to the MARTA, over to Watts to go to school.
Now everybody knows
Yeah,
Watts,
so
so that was a step up.
Yeah, that was a step. So that's the thing, because I know more people probably heard of Watts from the riots and things like that. And that was actually a upgrade as far as the school was concerned. Because the school was there, he was kind of like that Joe Clark character. So, you know, to get to school, you had to turnstile, you had to have an ID badge on the whole day at school. If you don't, they're going to carry you out. So it was one of those.
In a body bag.
No,
Yeah.
You would get arrested if you're on school property without your school ID badge. So that was the whole thing, and it was just a safer school, except for the transition going to the school, which was the RTD, which was nicknamed the Rough, Tough, and Dangerous. And that was the MARTA. It was equivalent to MARTA. So we had to catch the bus. And the last thing that I think before we transferred out, I got into it with some guy on the school, but on the MARTA, and the bus driver immediately put us out.
RTD.
The RTD. And he put us out. Unfortunately, he put us out. He put me out in Watts. And I'm like, dude, you can't drop me off in Watts. he made me get off the bus. And so I'm standing there watching my sister go by like, oh, they're going to kill me out here. And I'm just going to watch her shooting on down the road. We might have been about 4 or 5 stops up from our actual exit. And we get off by the railroad tracks, and I see him lurking. And I'm like, oh, hell's finna come. So best thing I can do is strike out running. There's no sense in trying to, you know, you ain't finna talk to him. It ain't no negotiation. So when they pick up speed, I pick up speed. Messed up. When they pick up speed, I pick up speed. And I'm hauling tail down Rosecrans. I don't know if anybody ever heard of Rosecrans. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm killing it down Rosecrans. So I'm looking back, trying to watch my 6. Boom. The one time I look back, when I turn around, I must not gauge it right. As soon as I turn around, boom, right into a telephone pole. Slap the hell out. Sleep on Rose Springs. Gone. Just gone.
Not yourself, huh?
Next thing I know, I remember my sister must have made it home by then, so she got my grandmother. They came and picked me up, took me on to the, but all this was gone. This whole side was just chewed up telephone pole. And never being out of LA, my mother was actually born in Memphis. My grandfather's from Mississippi, my grandmother's from Memphis, so they had roots there, and so they wanted to get out of LA. And me not just being dumb to the fact, when she said Memphis, and this may have been the 80s or something, I guess. You know, when she said Memphis, I was so ignorant to the fact. I'm thinking Memphis, I'm thinking wagons, and I'm like, I don't think they had cars down there. But that's just how much I didn't know. And I'm crying the whole way we going through Texas. I'm like, oh my God, these people are back. And Memphis just wasn't a good fit for me. So as soon as I finished high school in Memphis,
You took the stagecoach back.
actually, what I did, because I ended up joining the military. I thought that was a better option for me. I said, let me go out here and get something. I knew I wanted something. I just didn't know how to get it.
Protection.
I need some backup, some military, some M16s and whatnot.
Some heavy artillery.
Some air-to-ground missiles or something. So, joined the military, which was a good outlet for me. And I'll tell a lot of cats, I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the stuff, but, you know, especially if you got a young cat coming urban or whatever, wherever they coming from. You know, if your option ain't college, if your option is not college or you don't have something set, the military will get you out of that quote unquote, that same little environment that's all you probably know, culture wise or whatever. Because that's exactly what it did for me, and I ended up in Augusta, Georgia. That's how I ended up down here in Augusta from out of all the spots. And there was this guy on post, Anthony Darlington, and people kept asking me, did you have a brother on post? And I was like, I don't have any family here. And they kept saying, man, there's a dude on here look just like you. And so anyway, long story short, we ended up meeting, clicked up, started hanging out, and we were sitting on this porch one day. He's from, I don't know if anybody here, Belle Glade, Florida. So he grew up with the whole Miami or the Bay sound. I was clueless to it. Jam Pony Express and things.
Jam Pony.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about it. I was clueless to bass music. And so we were just sitting on this porch one day, and
Now I are bass music, right?
yeah.
There you
So,
go.
I don't know what brought the conversation up. We were talking about the Dukes of Hazzard. I think we were talking about old shows, Dukes of Hazzard, and tell my age again. Little House on the Prairie, Eight is Enough. We were just talking about all these little old shows
Age is how you look.
that I saw on the internet. That's how I found out about it. Yeah,
Yes.
spot on the internet. And so we actually came up with the Daisy Dukes thing.
Just out of the blue.
Yeah, we were just talking about it, and we were talking about the character Catherine Bach from the show, her shorts, the short shorts, and that's how it all came up. And we ended up actually just messing around, writing the hooks in there, the come on, babe, all that. We just messed around on the porch, and we came up with all that, and we went down to Belle Glade, Florida, his hometown, where he knew a guy down there named Tato, who had, this age thing again, a 4-track.
Hey, how many of us have a 4-track? TX 3340.
A 4-track, and yeah, exactly.
When Noe first came to the studio, I showed him some of the vintage gear, and I said, and I call it vintage.
Yeah.
I said, would you even know how to thread this? He said, well, I read about it in a history magazine, in a history book. Yeah, I was like, go out to the A room. So you had a 4-track.
Yeah, and that's what we recorded, and you talking about, it may have been the 808, a hi-hat, a kick, maybe a snare or something, and all the vocals on 4 tracks. So all that was on that track. And we went back to Augusta and played it in a teen club there. And on a Type 2 cassette, so that was the best thing going.
TDK.
TDK, yeah, Type 2. And we put it on in the club and just sat back and watched. And they started dancing. So we went back the next week, couple of weeks, we kept playing. About the 3rd or 4th time out, they were actually asking the DJ what was the record. Getting radio calls to the station, Foxy 103, I think it was. And they were asking about the record. It was still on 4-track at this time.
But y'all were coming out as Deuce?
No, we didn't have a name.
Okay, you didn't have a name?
Yeah, it was just
Nothing,
me and
it's
you.
just- Yeah. And we're on the bass
Yeah,
together.
and we on the bass record. So the Deuce name came way after the fact.
Okay, well, we'll get into that in a minute.
So we ended up meeting just a bunch of local producers and things like that who helped us clean the track up. So we went into their studio and cleaned everything up, and we started selling it old school style out the back of the trunk, and we were,
Okay.
yeah, it was going real big. The tape cassette cover was just like a little 35 millimeter picture with us sitting on some steps, just
Looking
with some
bad.
dress clothes on.
Yeah.
Wasn't even helping, just some dress clothes on, rayon.
Yeah, now you did show your age.
Yeah, four rayon, two-piece,
Okay.
with the socks and the sandals. And so we ended up catching some local guy who had a production company down there. I guess he was like the local, record station, Tony Mercedes. So we hooked up with him. We just started selling, and so instead of us looking for labels, they're calling us now because it's like on the radio, #1 in Augusta and everything, and Luke and all these independent labels were calling, and we ultimately ended up going back to my hometown to the West Coast with Al Bell. I don't know if anybody heard of Al Bell. He used to run Stax Records back in the day, Sam and Dave and all these groups, and we ended up hooking up with Al Bell.
Right, and the name of his company was
Bellmark.
Bellmark, and
Bellmark,
that was
right.
what Won't There It Is was on.
Yeah, we ended up sending that record over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Won't There It Is, yeah, because I think 95 South came up right before that, and I actually was filling their version a little bit more, it had a little more of the, but the Won't There It Is had more commercial.
Right.
And I think those guys, DC and them, do about 4 or 5 on that as well.
Mhm.
And so that's pretty much the whole journey of the Daisy Dukes, and that in Augusta and all those little areas, we ended up it was like superstardom just from that one record and nothing going.
All right, well, let's go back for a second, and then we'll go forward. In going back, tell us about the writing process of that. I mean, y'all just sat in a living room and just threw this out?
That was it.
But lyrically and so forth, did you do the lyrics?
Well, he wrote his verse, and I did the middle extended verse. So I gave him, I think it was like 8 bars on the top, and I did an extended version kind of explaining. If you listen to the record, kind of explains the whole
Well, that's what we're going to
Daisy Duke trend and the style and everything. And
So,
that was pretty much it.
so when y'all polished it, what was the polishing?
It was just cleaning up the tracks. The vocal part was pretty much arranged and in order. We pretty much had that on lock. We had done it so many times. By the time we did go into actual studio and record it, and it was just getting some guys. I think it was a Paragon Production, if I remember right. They came in and just they knew that more than what we did as far as the production side. So
Yeah, they were
made
going to take it from a demo into a
right
record.
into final production. So yeah, that's how that ended up.
Okay.
What year was that?
Ooh.
It's okay.
That was-
Two of us in the room.
We actually finished that in 92, and it came out in 93. Yeah, 92, 93, which makes me, again, 29, just now he's doing the math.
Well, the interesting part about this, though, is that the thing that y'all came up with, it became a merchandising hook as well, because you were selling,
Yeah, we were actually selling.
selling the pants to the girls
The
and
downside to it is, me being, I was maybe 19, 20, of course, not understanding that. Not
You didn't know
having
how to
problems.
monetize.
We didn't know how to do that. And, you had these write-ups coming up saying, these cats joined, over $1 billion in the industry that first year from those shorts. I mean, we actually...
yeah, but you didn't get that.
No, not a nickel. We never saw it. We generated. It's the difference between generating and getting on it.
Welcome to the music business.
Yeah, and we even had Catherine Bach came in for the actual video. So she was part of the video. Her, David Faustino, Mary Kiss, all these people came in and played her, and it just blew that record.
And by the way, when I was playing it, in LA at Sash and all these clubs there on Ventura Boulevard, Catherine Bach was one of our big fans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was very much involved with what was going on there. It was very interesting, and that was happening at the same time that you were doing your
The one thing I will say about that particular record is,
Come on in.
you back then they had they had How Can I Be Down, then we had Jack the Rapper that was here in Atlanta, And right before the record was really jumping off, you know, and that's why I tell any young cats coming in, you know, if you believe in your art, just go with that, because you're gonna get a lot of yays and nays. Because we actually took that record to the panel at the Jack the Rapper, who at that time were the yays and the nays of the industry, and half the panel, that record will never leave Georgia. It's okay. You might sell a few copies. You know, we 3 million later. You know,
Yeah.
You know, had I took that advice, I'm saying, oh, I don't have a record, but it jumped. So I just, you know, that's when I got to that point where I knew better just to listen to everybody. You know, if I felt strong enough
Or listen
about
to
it.
your heart.
Yeah, if I felt that strong enough about it, then that's pretty much what I'm gonna go with, whether it hit or miss.
Yes.
You know.
And once you got to that level, everybody wanted to hear the song. And I read an interview where you said, frankly, I'm pretty sick of this. Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah, I think we did.
The live
we-
performing of that was
Yeah, it got
crazy.
because we were out at that time. We might have been out 5-6 days, and that was just on the U.S. side. You know, we out 5-6 days a week, and you may come home 1 or 2 days, and you know, wash clothes, change, go eat, and you back out. And I started doing my booking, so I would book. You know, whatever city I ended up in, I would just have that next promoter pick me up from that city, fly us into the next city, and if we were in our van or whatever, I would just have that last city route me back to wherever our van was. So we were out there booking from the road. That was just back to back to back, which was back then, which we thought was good money. You know, you're doing 15,000 a show, 20,000 a show, and it's like, well, we making money. But nowadays, you know, you cats won't leave the house with 100,000 left. So
Yeah,
that money
well-
was like, you know, but then that's
Well,
the early 90s.
15,000 was
You
a
know.
lot more back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
That's the other part of the
You
equation.
gonna play the record?
Yeah, we're going to do it right now.
Come on, baby, and kick them daisies. Bring them girls when they do something. I want you to. Bring them girls when they do something. Everybody. Bring them girls when they do something. I want you to. Bring them girls when they do something. Say, look at them girls when they do something. They really got it going on. Looking all nice and sweet, showing them and them butt cheeks. I do like it a lot. When I'm showing some of what you got, yo, girls, they been looking real cute. The way y'all kicking them daisies do. Come on, baby, and kick them daisies. Bring them girls when they do something. I want you to. Bring them girls when they do something. Everybody. Bring them girls when they do something. I want you to. Bring them girls when they do something. Hey, you in the black boots, knee highs with the daisy dukes, looking real pow wow in cahoots in the park like the do too. I'm the snow here to late to you, starting trend of them daisy dudes. Ever since the summer of the 90s, girls who can build with the future behind. See many terms they used to express. We're talking about the protein, not the bread. Baby got back the junk in the trunk. She got a 6-pack or a hell of a rump. Yo, please surprise that shake. See many terms I used to relate. I love the girls with the big old booties. Where I'm from, they call them dookies. Pretty brown chicks taken from the jeans. Even city girls kick the country thing. So if you get it, got it good, just dip the dug out. Them damn daisy dukes start turning it out. Sing. Come on, baby, kick them daisies. Bring them girls when they do something. I want you to. Bring them girls when they do something. Everybody. Bring them girls when they do something. I want you to. Bring them girls when they do something. Say, look at them girls when they do something. They really got it going on. Yeah, they be kicking it sweet with them long old boots on feet. And check out the way they step. Make your brother wanna think about sex, especially when they have nice legs. If the tan dog goes red, it'll make what kind of legs you like. Still be thinking those legs you look white. So make what difference on you as long as you're kicking them daisy dukes. Come on, baby, and kick them daisies. Bring them girls when they do something. I want you to.
Well, so now, when you were doing this, though, and it was produced and all, then when did the name come about?
The Deuce name came right prior to actually pressing up the actual single.
And how did y'all come up with that?
Just because it was 2 of us,
Oh, okay.
and we just what name we gonna do?
Yeah, but it's not spelled that way.
No, it's not spelled.
It's spelled with an I.
Yeah, D Juice like Deuce, which I hated the name, but they were like, "I'll do a group name or whatever." Okay.
The Beatles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Came up with the name.
Okay.
Did the Dukes of Hazzard have a trademark on that name?
No, we spelled it different actually. We spelled it. If you pull it up, it's Dazzey
Okay.
and Dukes.
I noticed that on the website.
Yeah.
Different spelling.
Right.
Trademark.
So we just spelled it different. We never had an issue with
Way
it.
better look.
We did have a problem with African Bambaataa though, because back then that's when the sampling laws were a little kind of, it was still kind of range everything. And we had in the background of that record, you could hear looking for the perfect beat. That dun 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 dun.
You probably played that with first time the Mary James came out too.
The first time platinum,
I ain't know what you're talking
and they ended up taking 25% of the publishing,
Sure.
60,000 off the top, and 6 cents off every record. But we didn't know, and at that time, you know, the record's not going to, you know, label's not going to pull the record back. Y'all got to pay for it. So, you know, of course, that comes out of our jacked up contract of 3% prior to everything else coming out of it.
Then once that took off,
I ended up moving to Atlanta after that, a little while after that. I think I got to Atlanta originally in 94. I think it was around 94. And at that time, you know, I think this may have been kind of slowing up a little bit. And I think Jermaine Dupree at the time was looking to do a bass project or a compilation. And we're Poncho, my man just came in here somewhere. Poncho. Oh, there you go. My man right there. That's Player Poncho. He and he was from the A-Town Players, and he knew the Atlanta. He's from here, so he knew the area market better than I did. So we ended up collabing on the So Def Bass All Stars Volume 1, which ended up going gold, platinum. What was it? Gold. We went gold on that one. On that next song, you can pull that if you want. What's up? And that's when Freaknik was jumping off.
yeah.
You know, Atlanta was like a hotbed. In this particular video here, we ended up with Little John in the video, Candy from Housewives, Tiny from Housewives. Who else was in there? Brad, Shadi, Jermaine. So I mean, it was just, we did it, most of it in a big park, and it was such a street anthem, the Bankhead Bounce dance. I mean, you know, it had got to the point where you even saw Michael Jackson was doing the Bankhead. It got, you know, went out like that. So the So Def, that was on, it was on So Def. Yeah, that first one came through. So all those, we did what, Volume 1 and 2 and 3, I think. So all 3 of those were through Jermaine's label at the time.
Okay.
That was the second
Well,
record.
when you did that, remember what happened with Daisy Dukes and the lack of money back to you? Did you all have a music attorney on this or a contract?
I did on the second one, yeah. Yeah, so everything was straight. I didn't have issues on that one. All my publishing and, you know, and that was just, you know, if you equate it to, you know, college, you know, I got my pedigree on it because it pretty much cost me that much, even after the fact. Midway through the Daisy Duke situation, that's when I started learning the structure and things like that. We were so busy on the road.
Yeah.
One of the situations where I never looked, but didn't have time.
Right.
You know, you got this money coming. When stuff slows up, you like, you know, they send us a couple of checks, 50,000 here, 40,000, you know, and then you start to see them get smaller, and then, you know, it didn't even amount probably, I want to say maybe 250. Now, anybody like, know basic math, and I understand, you know,
Help us with that.
Yeah, I understand, you know, the labor cost and whatnot. We get that part. But you're talking about a record that went $3 million, and back then an album probably sold 15 to 18.99 an album back then. Just say 15 for easy number. So you need to do 3 million times 15. That's 45. End of the day, we end up with a bill for almost 200,000, and that's when it got messy, of course. So now I gotta catch me a red eye back to California. So. You know, but that's almost the label's way of saying, oh, we don't know you. No, excuse me, we don't know you shit no more. So,
Yeah.
you know, we done, and that's pretty much was the breakup of that situation.
But in hindsight, you should have walked in with a music attorney.
Oh, absolutely. But see, and I think it's one of them situations too, where you get some young cats, whether they be from the hood or from the city, it really don't matter. But when you get people who are that young and that hungry and that eager to get into an industry but a few people make it, and it's like, hey, come on, let's hear us sign these contracts, or we ain't gonna be able to do it. And it's like, don't I need somebody? No, y'all gotta get this shit done today. We gotta get it done today. No, they need the they gave us. We only had the Daisy Duke single done. And when Belmar got the project, they wanted the rest of the album in 2 weeks. The guy we were dealing with said we got it done just to get the deal done. We didn't know that part. He told me, oh, it's done, it's done. We just got to get it mastered. We didn't know it. So between the roll of 14 days, which we were out, maybe 8 of those days, we had 5-6 days to finish a whole album. So the quality of the album was, you know, it went gold as well, but it just wasn't,
No.
you know.
What can you do?
Yeah, so it was a done deal, but, you know, the label clearly is going to have more money than you. So if I'm trying to sue you, what money I do have banked up, I'm gonna spend that trying to and exhaust my funds.
Right.
So thank God I was never frivolous with my money. I wasn't the one out there, you know, you ain't finna catch me with 9 cars and all that kind of mess. I bought my house, had 2 cars.
Throwing $100.
Yeah, oh,
bills
and we
straight
know. Oh,
above.
yeah. You know, I paid the DJ and that was about it. I sit back and watch Poncho. He stripped up.
Well, we'll get into that later. Yeah.
But I, you know, and that was just my thing. So, you know, I had fun, but I wasn't out there, you know. When I took trips, I had so many miles with Delta. I was taking free trips on freaking flyer miles. And you know.
Yeah.
You know, so I never did get into a bad position. But, you know, the thing is, you out here doing, you know, Good Morning LA and BTMTV and Arsenio Hall and all these big shows, and then that money starts to slow down. You know, I was able to maintain, but at the same time, I'm saying, damn,
And
$45 million.
and what they brought in, and what you wound up with.
Yeah, it didn't match. Yeah,
No.
clearly it didn't match. But you know, to me, I didn't. You know, I don't. You know, I get the nature of the game. I understand that part. So I'm not gonna wake up mad about the situation every morning. If I get one, I can get me another. You know, I just gotta be smart about every next step, and everyone got better and better.
Well, and that's where we're going to go with this too. But before we go there, let's stay on the transition. So you had the thing, you had this early success, and you had a taste of the whole thing, good and bad.
Yeah.
And so then you went into that next level where you did take the music attorney in. Okay? And so then what happened at
Well,
that
before, as me and Poncho sat down on the new project, you know, I just went in, you know, once they sent the contracts, I'm looking at it knowing already, I have to give up my publishing. I'm not signing to y'all. I think Poncho signed with them, so I don't know y'all jack. So my attorney was like, you don't have to give up your publishing, you know. So she brought all my publishing bag, all my rights, so I didn't have to give up anything. So she just structured all the paperwork, and I walked away clean. Me and Poncho went out on the road, did our thing, and that was it. Matter of fact, I think when Lil John was out there road managing, you know, so those were a lot of the cats that we were interacting with back then, you know, that's before he, you know, had his big jump off.
Yes.
With Lil John, Nabs, all them was new then. DJ Nabs.
And so, yeah, okay. And
Tiny
so then
Touch
you,
was
and
still
then
singing.
what other records then you did? What's up?
After the What's Up, What's Up? After the What's Up, What's Up, I sat back for a little bit, and I actually wrote this particular record right around the time we did the compilation for So So Def.
And when you did the compilation, what was that music? Was that something?
That was bass music as well.
And, so let's take a phrase, put a groove under it.
Yeah, and that was a street anthem in Atlanta probably before I got here, I guess. That I think, what was that, Silver Fox?
No, actually, I was DJing and MCing at this club called Sharon Showcase.
Sharon
Showcase.
Yeah, so it was a street anthem, and we were just, you know, quick enough
To get it out.
Yeah, because they had about, I swear they put about 4 or 5 different versions out. But because of what we had behind us, Columbia and Jermaine, ours jumped out, and we took off.
That helped.
Yeah, but it was already a street thing that the What's Up was a dance thing, and the Bankhead Bounce, it was street probably way before I even made it to Atlanta. So we just was quick enough to catch it.
Okay, and so now this is going crazy.
Right.
And so what are y'all doing? You're back on the road.
Back on the road. Yeah, me and Poncho toured together for a long while.
Okay.
Stayed out on the road once again.
And who was setting up those tours?
Either Jermaine was. We had John out there promoting. A lot of the stuff I was doing, I was dealing with an agency out of New York, Famous. They did a lot of booking for me. William Morris did some booking, so it was just a collaboration. We weren't contracted to anybody, so y'all call, get your 10%, we go.
And you were no longer selling stuff yourself, or were you doing stuff?
Oh, no. We were
It's
going
just
to the label at that time.
So it's just record stores and so forth at this point.
When CDs were still, we still buying CDs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that takes us to the next
Yeah.
level. So we've gone through cassette, to
CD,
CD,
12
and now we're talking about downloads.
Right. I think, well, my baby daddy, I did that in 97. And that was something I actually wrote in 95. I just had it sitting up. And I met this guy, B-Rock, down in Mobile, Alabama. And they had a little group down there that they had been trying to get some stuff together for years, and it just never jumped. And the guy, T-Bird, was just a natural comedian. This little guy was just, and so when I heard him, I knew he would fit that record. And I was down, we were performing at Arbenz Fest. I don't know anybody know what that. We were down performing at Arbenz Fest, and it was this little chick on the side of the stage with her best friend, and not to be stereotypical, but that's just what it was. But downtown Atlanta at the time had the baby on the hip, the blonde hair, the gold tooth, nagging, that voice. And I'm like, damn, she is nagging as hell. But it clicked when I heard. I was like, damn. I'm gonna use this chick. So I went over and asked her name and everything. And she's the actual voice that you hear on My Baby Daddy. Who that is, My Baby Daddy? And that's the girl that I found.
We got to hear that.
I don't the video. I don't know if the video's on there or not. Oh, okay, cool. And the verbiage for the record was from Mobile. It was these two girls that I met down there who used to come to Atlanta all the time. Country from beyond, just beyond. It was a level of country I just didn't understand.
Cave Springs.
Yeah, and that's how they talk to each other. Good, and that's where the verbiage for everything came. So I was telling Kitty, say things like this, and I mean, they came here to Atlanta and we went to what was that club on
559.
Campbellton,
731.
731.
730.
All them nights.
Nah, the big one where used to be the movie.
Oh,
thing.
Illusion.
Illusion. So,
And she was in the club, and they were in there with me, and next thing she took her shoes off in the club. I'm with the open mouth. Chicken head dance with no shoes. But that's where I got the
Y'all got a dirt floor in there?
Yeah, so that's how that record came about. And that was a time when LaFace was trying to get into the bass game, and so they too did a bass compilation. That was the lead single for their bass compilation. We went gold on that one as well.
Yeah, but what was happening was y'all were defining a sound though.
Oh, well, actually, bass was bass before. I didn't even know what bass was. So it was just, the thing about it was it never left. It was pretty much Florida, Georgia, Carolina, Alabama, I think for the most part. So it was just the southeast region. Daisy Dukes was one of the first ones to go global, like outside some commercially global, let's say that. Outside a lot of stuff that Luke did, but it was, kind of the underground. Daisy Dukes, we cross country charts, the full nine. We rolled Billboard on that for almost a year. It rolled
that's
out.
the other part.
Yeah,
of
it
that.
just
How
rolled
long
out.
was it on the charts? It was
52 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, 52 weeks. It just rolled out that long. To this day, I still get royalties from the UK, Japan, and it's crazy thing about it. It still moves.
One strange thing that I noticed was it influenced more national acts to get involved in the bass game.
Well, yeah, that's
I worked
not.
at
It was
Columbia as well, with Columbia and Epic. And
everybody jumped on
we
bass
had
then.
Public Enemy out, and then
Right.
DJ Terminator X put out a bass
A
record.
bass record, Missy
I
Elliott
would've
did.
never saw that coming
Yeah,
out,
and a lot of the what they call twerk music now is just bass music slowed down for the most part.
Yeah, right.
It's the same catchy hooks and things like that. It just kind of slowed down. I guess that's just a normal progression of music, but it's pretty much almost the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just right time, and I think a lot of stuff is timing, especially with music, and it just works.
Yeah. Excellent. So anybody have any other questions about that before we move on? Yeah. But anyway, and Delano told us he had to do something. So anyway, so now what? So now where are you in the evolution of LA Snow?
I'm just living life at that point, 'cause like I said, I didn't go out on the road with those guys a whole lot. We did some shows together, but back then I was kind of laid up, living. And I think '98 we did the next record. I joined up with a cat in Florida. We did a record called Raise the Roof.
Okay.
And we went back out to Cali to promote that record. I think it was, who do we run that through? I think Dave Mystery or somebody out on the West Coast. So me and Styles did a group called Southside Connection, and we ended up working that. I think that's when we did. That's when the whole wrestling thing was big, NWO, and also we actually did a parody off of wrestling for that. Right about that time is when I had my youngest daughter, and that's when it get messy. So I ended up having my youngest daughter, so I went through a custody battle with our mom on my youngest daughter. Right about the same time that record started to come out. So with court and going back and forth and trying to do shows, it was a situation where, decision time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was comfortable with lifestyle and everything, and I ended up winning custody ultimately. And so now, it's her in this little thing, I'm in the studios and stuff and trying to work with her, and here I come in with the baby, and the baby carries thing, and a lot of these cats like to smoke in the studio, and it just got too much where I couldn't find, 'cause I don't have family in Georgia, I don't have family in Atlanta, anything, so it was literally me learning how to braid hair and do hair. Shit, that's what it was,
Yeah.
I just couldn't keep up with her. I couldn't keep up with trying to do the music and trying to do with her, so I just kind of backed away
So
from
what
it.
year is this?
That was 98.
Okay.
Same time the Raised Roof came out, around that same year. I just had to make one of them little,
Pull back.
yeah, it was just too much and I couldn't keep up. So I just kind of backed away from the music and said, let me sit back and raise her.
Okay.
And that's how the training thing came about.
Okay.
That's what
so,
that phase.
so then you started.
Well, when she started kindergarten, I still had all this free time during the day because before she started school, it was me and her running around parks, doing whatever we were doing, hanging out. But so now when she started kindergarten, I got all this free time in the day. Mentally, I still wasn't back on the music, and that's when I started working out. And I knew the regional manager for Valley Total Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And because I knew so many people in the gym, she's like, you ought to start training for me. I said, ain't nobody work for no damn body. I ain't never worked. And she just kept at me. And I ended up, and a lot of that training stuff is conversation too. So when she hired, I probably went my first 2 years without a certification. But I was outselling every other trainer in the gym based on my training ethic. And I ended up training Kai Toy for the Outcast video because some of those connects to girl. Now, I like the way you move video. I don't know if y'all, that girl on that truck. So, so I started pulling in that type of clientele and just started working. So maybe the second year in, I ended up getting my certification, just to make it official. And I've been training since then. That might have been, I got into training maybe 02, 03, I guess, somewhere around. I got my certifications, and by the numbers I was doing with Valleys, I was setting like records. Every month I was getting a different plaque, and they ended up giving me the South Lake Club in Amaro, Cumberland Club up in Sandy Springs, somewhere Stone Mountain, and so they just gave me 2 or 3 clubs, and that turned into me doing almost 60 a year on something I was just messing around with. So I was still comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's what I kept doing till they closed down, and now I just train independently up to about I still train, but up to a year and a half ago, 2 years, I kind of walked back into the music a little bit.
Right, and what's interesting is that with the, you could have gone in any direction. You could have sat on the couch drinking and smoking dope or something, you know what I mean?
I've never been high.
And isn't that interesting?
That's why I couldn't tell you about dope smoking, never been.
And that's incredibly admirable,
Yeah.
especially in that genre.
And I think it's almost,
Across
they
the
try to
board.
make it cultural now, whatever the
Across the
excuse
board.
is, it was just never my thing. I'm not gonna smoke my damn money up, y'all miss me with that one. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Smoke me out, so. Yeah, that's just never, I had cats, and that was their thing, they wouldn't operate without smoking. Wake up with a blunt, go to sleep with one. And, if that's your thing, but it just wasn't. No, that wasn't for me.
Well, that's a very good information, though. It really is. It is not necessary.
No. I think people that whole industry and you got it. No.
Well, we just had a session where no names will be mentioned because everybody would know these names, but it was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You keep going out to the driveway and you know what's going on.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like if that's your thing, that's your thing. I just don't. You're not gonna bring it around my house
Right.
and things like that. So.
I know.
You know, it's preference, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so you went down this road now. You've got a young child. You're doing something different, and you've pulled back from music. And what I know from you is that you wound up then deciding, if I go back, do I really want to have the same message?
Right.
Okay. So tell us about the mind shift there.
The initial spark, Kizzy Rock, who was in the A-Town Players with Poncho, used to come into the gym where I used to train at all the time. And he was like, you got Universal trying to do another bass compilation. Now, you got to mind, this is years later.
Yes.
And they wanted to do a bass compilation. So what they did, they went out and got all the musicians who had gold and platinum hits in that era. So, you know, they went and picked up Poncho, they went and picked up 69 Boys that did Tootsie Roll, 95 South that did Whoop There It Is, Tag Team that did the other Whoop There It Is, you know, Raheem the Dream, MC Sade, you know, and they went and got all these players to come in and put this project together, but ultimately before it jumped off, it fell off. Mm-hmm. You know, when you got too many egos bumping,
yes.
You know, things didn't jump. But the good thing what it did for me, it put me in somebody's face where I sat down, you know, after hours and had a conversation about what route I actually wanted to go. And before I could even get it out, he was like, "You ever thought about doing rock music?" I was like, "Shit, that's really where I wanted to go with it." Because clearly I didn't want to come back doing it into bass, because I think bass had its time. You know, I think it had its place, and I didn't really want to do the you know, quote unquote, I guess, that urban route, because I'm not going to go out smoking weed, you know, right. Maybachs and all the Benzes, and that just wasn't my conversation. And here I'm raising, you know, 3 daughters by myself, and bitches and hoes just wasn't going to be part of the
part of the lexicon.
Yeah, it just wasn't going to be part of the conversation, you know. And so I sat down with the cat and we talked, and that's when I developed the first record. And I just hired some musicians in, and they came in and played. Well, he knew some people, and he brought a couple people in. And so after I got my little feet wet on it, I just started developing more of that sound. So me not knowing rock, I don't have that rock background. For me, it was more important to go get people who know how to do it. This is not what I do. So I'm not gonna go the ego route. Oh, we're gonna do this shit this way, or it ain't gonna. No, I'm gonna go find me a guitarist who know how to play. I'm gonna go find me a bass player who know how to play, who understands that's what they do is rock. A drummer that know how to play drums. I can play drums, but I don't play drums.
Right.
You know, if I'm gonna get this recorded, I need somebody who knows how to do what they do and let them do it.
Yeah.
So I would just come up with, once again, these hooks and these ideals, and I ended up permanently putting a band together. Isabella, Eric, and a guy named JD that plays with me full-time now. And we would just go to these rehearsals. I would come up with these hooks, and I would actually program a beat on the MPC, so they'll get the basics of where I'm trying to go with it. And once they hear it, I step back. Hey, this is what I'm hearing. Now you do what you do.
But the interesting thing is that it's a hybrid now.
It's a hybrid of the bass, because what I do, once I finish laying all the live, I still go back and put 808 up under everything. Once we mix it out, you know, it's all live instrument on top, and then I go right back and still drop 808 up under it.
Right.
Just to let them know, hey, this me right here.
Right. And so, but that's what's cool about it.
Yeah.
You know? So you either, in everybody else's world, you have either the rock or the bass.
Right. And I want it to be, I wanted it to be more authentic. I didn't want to. Like you had, what was that record a little while back? It was, you know, they were talking about rock. It wasn't really a rock record, but it had that, you know, some synth sounds, and it made it sound Party Like a Rock Star. You know, it had a good, but it wasn't, that record wasn't going to go in certain markets. And I wanted this to be able to, you know, get on 100.5 and things. I wanted to be able to, you know, make that transition, because I really want to go over here with it. You know, and if I can bring that crowd that I dealt with in the past with it, fine.
Yeah.
But for me, I truthfully want to come into it as a brand new situation, not based on my history.
Right.
I guess if that kind of makes sense to anybody. I
But
want to be able to stand on its own, I guess.
Yeah, but think about really how adventurous this is. You know, because most people, you have some success, you do what you do, and you just die doing what you do. You know, and if it dies, you die with it. But this is the whole point of what the seminar is about, is is how to reinvent yourself
Right.
so that you continue to be relevant, and that you're doing what you want to do. You know, at this point, you already did the other thing.
Right.
So at this point, if you just kept making records like that, whether they were accepted or not, you'd probably be bored to death.
Yeah, and I think even on that market or genre or any market really, it ain't but so much room for everybody.
Right.
You know, and you ain't got but a few people that's you know, you got this and you
Yeah.
got everybody fighting for this space down here. And I just don't want to I didn't want to fight for this room down here. If I'm gonna go at something, I'd rather fight in a whole new market, whole new genre, whole new area was brand new and still exciting to me.
Yes.
You know, I'm not excited about that over there.
Okay, so the first recordings that you did, you had the session guys playing on that, okay? And now you're working with your band.
Right.
So let's listen to something with the session guys. What would be a good
Superstar.
example?
The Superstar was the first one we re-recorded as a whole.
Now, from what y'all heard before, now take a listen to the evolution of what's going on here.
Let's go! Let's ride out, gas up the planes, we gon' fly out. Leave them all back, girls, let's go, take a trip out of town. It's a superstar, just living my life in the high life. Rock like rock hard and my pockets tight. Leave them all back, girls, let's go, take a trip out of town. I'm a superstar, gas up the plane and let's go.
Yes, so huge shift, but elements are still the same.
Right.
Still stacking some of those vocals.
They're still, you know, same catchy, like, you know, bass type hook. So, you know, the structure is the same. It's just, you know, I want to come in and let the musicians do what they do.
Right.
You know?
Yes, and because it's a different element though, and a different genre.
Right. Alternative rock, I guess, is more so what it's going to be kind of
Right.
compared to your rehabs and your,
So,
Rage.
right, and so when you and I were talking about this, what we were talking about was the sonics of it and how it was put together and how it could be put together, you know, in other ways to make it bigger, wider, deeper,
Right.
and all of those things that Chris Lyon does. You know, I mean, that's the kind of thing that, you know, that we understand.
Mm.
So,
Wall guitars.
yeah, exactly.
Finding a place for it.
Yeah, and separating it
Yeah.
and making it wider and bigger and so forth. And when LA and I talked about it, that's what we were discussing, you know. So now those were the session people, and so now you have got a group of your own instead of just hiring people, you know, those guys, and they don't go out with you.
Right.
This is now the idea is to have your own band.
Right, so we can get, you know each other and, you know, get that. Because like I say, me performing on stage with a DJ, you know, that's easy. I get, you know, me and Poncho run them shows. You know, I can get a call tomorrow, and me and Poncho ain't got to rehearse since the last show, and we can go out there and never miss a beat.
Right.
You know, with this band, now I got to kind of,
Got to actually work at it.
yeah, and coordinate and time it. Yeah.
Now you got to sound
yeah.
check.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole different, you know, setup. The whole setup is different.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
So it's like it's new to me. I mean, I enjoy it. We did a live thing a little while back at Center Stage, and you know, that was the first time we all had hit stage together, and it was like, you know, just, I mean, it felt natural to me, but you know, we rehearsed all the way, but getting that time and everybody and cueing, you know, so it's definitely a different beast.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
it's
You got to
different.
actually play the
Yeah.
instruments.
Yeah. So,
You know, God forbid.
but I like that freedom of play. We can extend and, you know, do whatever we want to do. You know, I can just cue them, and they so well at what they do. You know, yeah, you know, and that's the, you know, that's the freedom of, you know, me and Ponchos and stuff we would do back in the day. You know, whatever that track was.
It's what it is.
That is
And
what
it
it is.
ends at 3:25.
Yeah, and if they want more, then you run a record back for them. So,
Can you take that from about midway back?
You scratch that back. So, you know, with this, it's just we go where we want to go with it.
Mhm.
And that's the beauty of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So now,
You could-
I just had a quick question.
yeah, go ahead.
Have you at any point thought of incorporating bits and pieces of your older stuff?
The only thing I was gonna do is a free download. I got a DJ doing a mega melody, mega mix we used to call back in the day of all the songs I have to one, which is gonna be offered as a free download, just to kind of tie that. But as far as like mixing or scrapping, unless I do something vocally, but not necessarily off the original records.
And when we first started talking, he was saying, "Now, listen, don't get me wrong. I don't really sing.
Oh,
I don't really sing, and I don't really play drums. But I'm like,
where we going
yes,
with this?
yeah, so what is it that you do? You started playing stuff, and then you could feel that direction of what was happening, and how that could absolutely work. It just needs more stuff.
Right.
So that's that. But the freedom and you now being in this new element has to be kind of exhilarating, And
Oh yeah, it keeps me geeked. I mean, like I said, it's new.
yeah, and how often do y'all rehearse at this point?
Izzy, she's at her wedding right now, so normally we would get together every Tuesday. She's at a wedding.
Well, luckily she's at a wedding.
Yeah, she's at a wedding, so we had to give her a little time out.
Yeah, but you can be here.
Yeah.
So that's good.
She's doing a wedding for her sister, so she's down in Miami. So she's from Miami, so she's down there for a couple of weeks. So
Okay.
that's what she's doing.
All right. So you one day a week you're
Yeah,
getting
normally we get together every Tuesday and just rehearse new joints. So we still got about 3 or 4 more songs to try to finish up for this particular project. So it's just concepts, and I'll go home and the thing is from that and that's more what I like to do is concepts and put them down. So I could just be sitting riding in the car and I'll hear something or something triggering. I always record it, the hook or whatever on my phone, and that way I can always go back because I'll forget. It could be I'll wake up 3 o'clock in the morning with a melody in my head and just humming out on my phone, and that's how I normally just go back and get it, and then take it to them and say, hey, this is what I want to do, and we'll sit there and we can build because of what we'll just build it on the spot,
Right.
and then work out the details later.
And you used to have to crank up the 4-track.
Yeah.
So now just whip the phone out,
Yeah.
sing into the phone, get the idea, go back to
Technology,
sleep.
boy.
Yeah,
It's
you gotta love that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That was it.
Okay, so now that you have a new vision as to what you want to do and where you want to go, what are you thinking about as far as the structure of touring and all that? What's going on, family-wise? Are you able to go out now?
Yeah, my daughter's she's 15 now, and the right prior to me doing it, when she's about 12, 13, she knows, understand. She's at the age now where she sees Chris Brown and all that. She's 15. Oh, Chris Brown, and posters on the wall. She's a regular teenager.
Right.
But when she's about 11 or 12, I'm real good friends with Emmanuel Lewis, a little guy that played with me. And we've been friends for many years. And so he came by one day, and she had never met him. But her at 12, that's like TV. So she relates TV to Automatic Superstar. That's how the kids. So she saw him, and she was like, "That's the little guy." And she go upstairs and they call, "Daddy, is that the?" "Yeah, Taylor." So, and so once he left and everything, and it was really her because she had came back to me that day, and then that was when she actually asked me, "Were you?" She said, "Well, now you're going to start doing music again." I said, "Well, why you asking that?" And and this was an 11, 12-year-old. She was like, "Because you always seem like you be happier when you be with your friends from music."
See,
and all
this
that.
is where we're going.
Yeah, and that was almost that initial same time around the year, and that's when I really kind of, I said, okay, she's 15 now. At that time she was 12, 13, and I had a little more space because now, I ain't even a cool daddy no more. She want to go hang out with her friends. So it's like, I can, take her to a buddy's house and she cool.
Yeah.
So she don't want me to, hang out with her no more. That type of thing. At first when it was in school, she want me to walk her all the way to the classroom. By the time she hit the 6th grade, "Don't come out the door, Daddy." You go, "Oh, okay, that's how you want to play me now?"
Yeah.
So now you can't be seen with me.
Yesterday's news.
Yeah. So you're gonna throw me away like that, huh? So
There's
like
some
I said,
loyalty.
Yeah. I have to. Yeah. So now she has her little friends and everything, so I can I can get out like this now. I can come out to do this because she can go to a little friend's house and go to school from there or whatever. You know, I just got a little more freedom now.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that kind of.
Yeah, but the other thing, and the thing that we don't want to gloss over, is the fact that it was her who kind of turned on the light bulb.
Yeah, she gave well, she,
Again.
Yeah, she gave me a little okay, and I was like, okay, cool. You know, she got said, you okay? Yeah, now I go. Yeah.
So, yeah, and so what happened is she gave you the green light, and then you had already been formulating a different direction.
Well, yeah, pretty much around that same time, I just didn't really act on it. You know, like say the Universal and the whole idea kind of around that same little time frame, and you know, and then when she gave me that, I was like, ooh, green light. I can go play.